Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. First of all, wishing you everybody a very happy new year. I know the situations are not great again, but I believe everybody is safe and sound at their home. So with this, we'll start the first webinar for this year among the many monthly series which we are going to bring. Who are online today? It's myself, Avinash, who will be your host as well as the panelist, and my fellow colleague from the ADM product management team, Karthik.
Hello,
What
everyone.
Thanks, Karthik. What is the agenda for today? First, we'll quickly go through the overview of ADM service for everybody who is new to the ADM service or who are planning to onboard onto the ADM service. Then we'll be talking about all the new features or the enhancements which has been done since the release of October 26th, 2021, and beyond that. Few of them which we are talked through this will be covered as a detailed section within the next sessions by Karthik, like simplified workflow on how to enable analytics. Then what are the customization options which has been made available under the instance score for infrastructure analytics. And then of course, some of you who are already the user of ADM service might be seeing a new dashboard already being available. So Karthik will be talking in great detail with this new intuitive unified dashboard which has been now made available over the ADM service. And last, as usual, I would be taking out the one of the primer section where I would be talking about the event management and with few of the use cases which I felt that might trigger your interest, and you may or may not be aware about it. So it will be a nice place to get you have a good hands on the event management basics. So with this, let's start. So how you can quickly jumpstart with the ADM service in quick 3 steps. First, you need to create a Citrix Cloud account. Once you have the Citrix Cloud account, all you have to do is have the ADM Service Cloud offering selected. Now, as you don't require any dedicated agent, since all the ADCs have inbuilt agent mode, you have to just select those. As soon as you select that, you have to copy the service URL and activation code, take it to your ADC, copy there, and all the ADCs are discovered over the ADM for management and monitoring. So, what are the advantages of ADM service? First, it is very agile, which means, as you saw, how quickly it is to onboard or your ADCs in your infrastructure. So it's very easy to operate. Next, it is all the latest updates. Since being a cloud service, all the latest updates will be pushed on time. You don't have to chase behind, or you don't have to plan those upgrades. There is no high availability or DR hassles as unlike you have on the on-prem setups, since it's being a cloud setup. So which means availability is always high. Now, faster time to value because you get started within a few clicks, as I was again showcasing you. It has a very state of art exclusive machine based learning, advanced learning analytics, which you get once you onboard onto the ADM service. It has very low operational costs, which means it requires very less time or less money to and resources to manage and maintain the ADM service, which in turns actually gives you a very good management, monitoring, and analytics capability for your all the ADCs. As I said, right, all the ADCs means, which means it's pretty much open for any kind of ADC environment, be it is on public cloud, it is an on-prem, or it is an hybrid of both, and pretty much any application, be it a monolith application or newer microservices applications. So it supports all. So in case you are already on the ADM on-prem and trying to get into the ADM service, the first one you can do, start your experience or journey with the ADM service is with the Express tier, which comes by default. What you get with this? With this, you get all your management and monitoring capability, all the network functions, network reporting, everything is open. There is no limit to any configuration job or any style books, countings. You can pretty much do everything around that. The only capping is with respect to Express tier is you get the virtual server analytics for 2 virtual servers, which means if you're new to the ADM service and you want to try out analytics, uh, you can have started with the 2 servers. However, the data retention is only up to 500 MB or 1 day of data, whichever is lesser. In case you're already a heavy user of analytics onto the on-prem and you are ready to move to the ADM service, then the next license for you is the ADM Advanced. Or the users who are very new and want to go beyond to analytics and want to have more analytics capability for different kind of use cases, then the advanced is the license which you should be looking out for, where you get the all the analytics capability, be it HDX gateway, web SSL, app dashboard, ML based app security analytics, ML based web insights, all those anomaly details, everything will be will be available with full capability into the advanced licensing. Of course, anytime you feel that while enabling these licenses you are getting bottlenecked by the storage, we have a separate SKU just to increase the storage. So with this, I wanted to announce a very important thing. From for the this ADM monthly webinar, we are gonna change the series registration link due to certain internal reasons. So going forward, there will be a one new link which will be available for all the webinars going forward from Feb 22. All you have to do is first, all the old registration and personalized webinar link which you have till now in your calendar will no longer work. So what you have to do, you have to delete those all calendar placeholders from your email client and then register to a new link. Karthik, would you help posting this onto the chat? So this is the new link for all the 22 webinar events for the ADM, which you have to go and just select the region of your choice. If you're from Asia or Europe, and this is the time right now which webinar is running, this is the registration link you have to select. And if your colleagues or your team who works in Americas and they are planning to join this webinar, then this same webinar gets conducted in the Americas time zone, which is 11 a.m. EDT or 8 a.m. PST, and this is the registration link. So once you visit that page, you will have these details jotted down there. So as I said, what are the new features and enhancements we have done? So primarily under the four major things we have done the enhancements or new features have been added. One is the management and monitoring, where now we have the support for BLX clusters. ADM now supports those. We can manage ADM instances GSLB cluster. A few enhancements has been done around that as per the customer ask. Analytics, we have a unified process, as we said that these all will be covered by Karthik, first two and the last one. Service graph improvements is again has been done, which you can see here some of the enhancements which are done around AppSec is IPv4 support for bot insight, security violations, injection grammar has been updated. Some analytics around the content switch for this AppSec has been updated or enhanced, and few of them for the style books as it read there. So within the next few webinars, we will be covering all these enhancement and features in greater detail. For today's session, we will be concentrating on analytics, where we'll be talking about unified process to enable analytics on virtual server, the instance key metrics details, unified dashboard, and customization of the instance score in the infrastructure analytics. So these are few which we'll be covering. So with this, I will pass on the screen to Karthik, who will be taking us through these new enhancement or feature which has been incorporated in your ADM service. Karthik, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Avinash. Can you make me the presenter, please?
Sure.
I hope you're able to see my screen, Avinash.
Yeah.
And I'm audible too, right?
Yes. Please go.
Okay. Welcome to everybody, and I hope you guys are having a great new year, and I hope you guys are safe and sound as well. So as part of this presentation, we will be going through a simplified workflow to enable global configuration analytics. So what exactly is this feature? So today, admins can enable analytics features on their desired vServers manually in the ADM UI, but we felt that it would be great to provide an option to allow the admins to enable the desired set of analytics on all their relevant vServers and a subsequently added auto-licensed vServers. So this is the feature strength that if you thought that you had like specific vServers that you wanted to enable a whole set of analytics or a specific set of analytics on, and that if you were to go and add subsequent virtual servers, you don't have to manually go and enable them again. So with the global analytics configuration, this becomes very easy to realize the value of analytics in no time. How does this feature help the admins? So it offers great flexibility in enabling the analytics globally or manually by the administrators on their desired vServers as they deem fit. And it has a very good ease of administration, and which is very key and core for our admins. So if the admins felt that all their subsequently added licensed vServers, which they have particularly auto licensed, need to be enabled with analytics globally, then this is the feature that they can use so that they don't have to intervene in going and manually enabling the analytics on those newly added vServers. And who is this useful for? Absolutely, the admins are the core personas that will benefit from this feature. They can seamlessly administer and realize the value proposition of analytics in the fastest possible way. So these are some of the prerequisites for the global analytics function. So you can typically enable global analytics features only when you have all your desired virtual servers in licensed mode, or you've enabled auto license option in the analytics page, where any new vServer that gets added gets automatically licensed. And with this analytics getting turned on globally, it will get applied to all of those subsequently added virtual servers as well. So I wanted to discuss a few key points about this workflow in particular. So the first one is a scenario where you have vServers that have already been enabled with analytics manually by the admins today. So assume that you have a system where you have like 10 vServers, and out of them, you have manually enabled analytics on them already. And now you go to the global analytics configuration page, and then you enable the desired set of analytics features you want. So in this scenario, the two licensed vServers that were manually enabled analytics with will remain untouched, which means that we will honor the decision of the admins on those two vServers. And for those 8 licensed virtual servers which are available and are licensed, the global configuration will go ahead and enable analytics for the same. The second scenario could be that an admin could have manually gone ahead and disabled analytics for some of the specific licensed virtual servers. And in this case, if the admin was to go and enable the global analytics configuration feature, we again honor the intent of the administrators by skipping those manually disabled vServers with analytics and only enabling analytics for those 8 virtual servers which are licensed. And the last key point is enabling the botsec and WAF on specific virtual server scenario. So as we are all aware that bot and WAF analytics options are supported only in the ADC Premium and Platinum licensed virtual servers. If your virtual server is not Platinum licensed, then upon enabling this global analytics configuration, the bot and WAF analytics are not going to be enabled. So just make sure that you have the right set of profiles and the right set of licenses available on the vServers before you go ahead and enable the configuration. So this is a quick snapshot. This is how it would look. Now I'll go through a detailed demo, but I mean you navigate into settings and then you go to the license and analytics config. There we have provided a global analytics configuration button in the analytics summary, which helps you get a measure of how many analytics features have been turned on across the entire deployment. And once we click on the global analytics configuration, you get a pop-up window which gives you the set of analytics features available for dispensal around your vServers. And then you can, as an admin, choose whatever analytics you want. And there is this one key checkbox, which is the apply analytics settings on the subsequent licensed vServers. So if you check that, any new vServers that have been enabled, that have been added in the deployment will get auto licensed, and by that will get enabled of analytics automatically. So let's just go through a quick demo and see a discoverability of where this exactly is in the ADM UI. So, all right, so now we are here as part of the ADM service. So we'll go to settings, and inside settings, we go to licensing and analytics configuration. So in this, this is the subscription summary, and this is the section, the analytics summary section, where we have provided the global analytics configuration. So at this point in time, it provides a spread of how many different types of analytics features have been enabled overall in this deployment. And once any, so this is the other key parameter I was talking about. So if admins think that whatever new vServers that they are going to add in their deployment need to get auto licensed and need to get enabled of the analytics automatically, then this would be a prerequisite that you enable auto licensing of the vServers. And then you go into your global analytics configuration, choose the type of analytics features that are important for your deployment, and then click on this analytics settings to license your subsequent virtual servers, enable analytics on your subsequent servers, and then you give submit. So once we do this, you are now going to be able to, have this workflow do that for you. All right, so that was that. Just 1 second. Avinash, just give me 1 second.
Sure. So in the meanwhile, do you want us to launch any poll you have prepared?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Some problem. Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was the first feature. There's the second feature that we have come up with is a very interesting feature that gives the admins the ability to wield the wand in their abilities. So this is the customization of instance core in infrastructure analytics. So what exactly is this feature? So today in our ADM service under infrastructure analytics, we have curated some of the best metrics along with their default thresholds and weights for calculating the instance scores. So this instance score is very crucial for admins to immediately realize the critical instances that they need to focus on in the swiftest way possible. Some of the admins felt that they would like only certain key metrics selected to define the health of an instance in their environment, and hence expected that if they were to have the ability to tailor them to their deployment expectations and delivery needs, it would be the best case scenario. So this particular feature that we have now announced exactly allows the admins to do the same thing. So we are rightfully extending the power of instance core management to the admins directly. And by that, the admins can now flexibly select the instance metrics of importance to them in their deployment, configure the relevant thresholds for those metrics, and assign the weightage. I mean, how important is that metric for them, and assign the right amount of weightage for those metrics, and then calculate the instance score. So how does this feature help the admins? As we see from a discoverability aspect, it exists under infrastructure analytics settings, score indicator settings. So with this, the admins can choose the metrics of relevance or importance as per their needs for the instance score calculation. The admins can also configure the desired thresholds for the key metrics that influence the score, and the admins can configure customized weightage for those key metrics of relevance and importance. So how exactly does this happen? This is a small snippet. We will go through the demo, of course. So under the settings icon, you have this tab called the score indicator settings, which gives that well curated list of those important metrics we thought are very influential for the instance score calculation. So they are available by default. All of those metrics are selected and they have their default weightages and thresholds. And now the customer or the admin can go into specific metrics like these. For example, an admin can come and say that for me, under system resources, only high CPU and high memory is important, or under security, only top violations are important, or in config deviation, only drifts are important. So instead of having all of these influence the score, the admin now has the power to go and select whatever he wants. And how would this look? So the drop down available at each parent level then expands into another level where you get those low level metrics, encompassing that parent level. For example, system resources contains CPU usage, memory usage, disk usage, and a lot of other criteria. And then we have thresholds and weight available for them. So the admins can go ahead and configure the relevant metrics for them, either the parent or these low level metrics, and provide the appropriate threshold and weight to influence the instance score. So we'll just quickly go through the demo. Avinash, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, Karthik.
Yeah. So for this specific feature, from a discoverability aspect, since this is to do with infrastructure analytics, it would be under infrastructure. And then we have this settings icon that we can click. And once we have the settings icon pop up the blade, we have the score indicator settings tab, where these are the various metrics available at the dispensal for the admins. And these are some of those key metrics that we thought are very influential for scores, and admins can take a call accordingly. And they can choose whatever weight and threshold they want. So they can go ahead and disable the entire parent, or within a specific parent, like say uh, config deviation. They wanted only config drift. So they can go ahead and make these customizations at their will. So how does this influence? So let's just take a brief example of one of these instance scores. So at this point in time, I have all the default metrics selected. So if I was to go inside this particular instance, the score is pretty low. And at this point in time, we give the number of issues that are contributing to the penalty laid on this particular instance and why it has been computed to 49. So we see that two of the system resources are contributors, one SSL config and capacity. And our ADM is super intelligent in letting you know which of those issues are the ones contributing to this. So if you thought that you did not want the non-recommended issuer and the throughput limit reached indicators, you wanted only CPU and memory. In this particular example, we see all these four are influencing the score. So as an admin, you can go back to that key metrics and say that I don't want throughput limit reached, I don't want not recommended issuer, and I want only high CPU, high memory from the system resources category, and then save those settings and come back to see the score. So at this point in time, you are not going to see these two issues or categories pop up to influence the instance score. So this gives a meaningful derivation of the instance score with the parameters exactly laid by the admins based on their deployment needs and considerations. So the main crux of this feature is to allow the admins to rightfully extend the power of influencing the instance score under infrastructure based on their deployment and delivery expectations. So let's just quickly move to the next one. Yeah, so this is one of the most powerful and the coolest development that ADM team has come up with recently. So it's our new intuitive unified dashboard. So what can admins do with the unified dashboard? And before we move there, so this unified overview dashboard is going to be a perfect starting point for all the admins to start monitoring your deployment. So the unified dashboard is nothing but an overall view of the high level insights and issues that can be derived for the admins to focus their deployment issues and drill down only when needed. The overview of key metrics is provided in the following categories. So the admins will be able to get the application health, performance, and availability metrics, the ADC infrastructure's performance and availability metrics, the application security metrics in terms of how many attacks and violations have happened, and the gateway metrics, which gives us information about the sessions, the active users, and the errors that have been influencing the session performance. So let's just go into some of the pivotal characteristics that drive the meaningfulness of this overview dashboard. So this overview dashboard will become a single pane launchpad, acting as a perfect starting point for the admins to get an overview of their entire ADC fleet at a very high level. This can act as a well-curated C-level or an admin report consisting of all the key metrics, ranging from app to infra to security, to help you meaningfully focus on what you need and then drill down when needed. So these high-value insights are now available for all types of personas. So an enterprise could have different types of personas like app admins, IT ops, SecOps. So this overview dashboard will give a feel for these personas to scrub, focus, and double down into the relevant segments and key metrics as needed. And by doing all these three that we spoke about previously, this is definitely going to reduce the time to resolution and increase the time to value for the admins by bubbling up the deployment insights and issues at a higher level. And as we know, the moment we provide a high level overview and that is consumed by the administrator, it becomes an easy one-click segue into the individual dashboards to drill down on specific key items that are highly influential in terms of your underperforming or unavailable critical applications or instances in your deployment. So let's just go through a quick demo for this. Avinash, just give me 1 second.
Sure.
So, yep. So it's coming up. Let's just give it a quick second. Yep. All right. So, so this is our new intuitive overview dashboard. So this exists as a new dashboard right now with a separate section called overview, which is the high level, visualization or a representation of your entire deployment. So the relevant dashboards of applications, security, gateway, and infrastructure exist as is today. But we thought that it would be great for giving that high level overview. And for that, we have come up with an overview dashboard. So this overview dashboard gives a high level bird's eye view of what's happening in your complete deployment. So it helps you find out the needle in the haystack within the heap of data that we collect from all the ADC instances regarding applications and the instances. We have clearly segmented this dashboard considering the key persona interests, focused on their desired dashboards, and help them allow, pin their isolation points better. So this dashboard has applications information, it has ADC infrastructure information, it has application security information, and then it has the gateway information. So let's just take a quick look at the power that is wielded by this dashboard. So the app section is crucial for app admins and IT ops teams in general. So we provide a quick sneak peek of the apps that are down and the apps that are out of service. And this helps you grab the attention to those critical points of problems in your deployment that needs your attention. And one of the coolest things that we have done, and this has been asked by multiple administrators, is that, yes, I do know that there are some of the apps down, but then could you give me a quick glimpse of why they are down and help me, segue more from there? So for that reason, we have something called as a last response. So when we click on the last response, this gives an information about all the attributes that are causing this application to go down and the types of monitors that are associated with each of these applications that are currently facing the issues. For instance, this one application is having a problem with the TCP default monitor. So we also provide the detail on the number of probes that were done, the total number of probes that failed, and the last response that we received from this monitor. And it looks like this particular application is down because the TCP monitor failed to establish the TCP handshake within the required amount of time. So we have further enhancements coming up where from double clicking on this, you would be taken into the application dashboard for that specific application to get more drill down details. But this provides a quick overall assessment of not only what apps are down, but the last response of why these apps are down from a very close context perspective. All right. So this application health dashboard, considering the availability of those applications in terms of being down or out of service, we also thought that it would be beneficial to let the customers or the administrators know what are the performing and non-performing apps and what are the states of those applications in their deployment today. So the app score is that metric that gives you the detail about how many total applications there are and what is the spread of the applications in critical section and good section or in review section that needs your focus immediately. So if I was an administrator, seeing that 1132 applications are in red means that I have something to take care of. So this gives me a bird's eye view of what those applications are. And I can actually click on view all applications and segue into the application dashboard to get more drill down details. So there's also another golden signal anomaly section, which is our biggest power from analytics perspective that we've put forth in the dashboard. So this provides the administrators the details about what are those active categories that are influencing the application's performance and availability from server errors perspective. So at this point in time, it looks like there are 28 applications that are suffering from anomalous responses. And we found that these anomalies were due to server errors, and that was contributed by the active services category. It's like the number of services configured versus the number of services available to process the application. And the second segment would be the applications with response time anomalies, where you can clearly see that one of those applications is having an anomaly. And it is anomalous due to these three main reasons. So it has an app response time anomaly, the client network latency seems to be out of threshold, and the server network latency seems to be out of threshold. And one of the most important things is that you have a time series. You can take a look at all of these information across the dashboard in not just an hour, but through an hour, a day, a week, or a month. So if I was to take a look at this for a month, this dashboard has to change and give me more meaningful information. So as we see, so what was a lower number right now just spikes up to a larger number to give me a spread of what happened over a month. And any anomalies that are seen get reported with specific sections under the golden signal anomalies. Now, there are other attributing factors to applications health and availability and performance. Those specific application configurations which are causing the problems and which need to be optimized. So this section gives us the information about those configurations which are causing the applications to perform underperform and bubble up those types of configurations in terms of, like, say, improper persistence type configured based on the requests and responses seen on the application. So giving this information allows the admins to go back and rectify or remediate the persistence type and allow these 94 apps to come back to good again. And from SSL certificates perspective, this is very critical for the app delivery system. So majority of these applications are HTTPS now. So the whole lifecycle management of your SSL in terms of how many certificates there are, how many of them are expired, how many of them are expired, going to expire within a week up to 30 days. So this spread gives you a visual cue of where you stand in terms of the certificate management and what actions you need to take for these counts. And the application SSL config optimization as well. So low session reuse, session build up. So we give you visual cues about the application suffering from these configurations, and we also let you know that you can drill down and then remediate those in time. So if you wanted to see more, anyway, you have hyperlinks to visualize more details about these underperforming or unhealthy, unavailable apps. Let's segue into ADC infrastructure. So this is also a very key, dashboard for the IT admins. It provides a visual cue indication of the overall health of the ADC instances in the deployment. So we have total number of 72 instances in this, out of which 66 instances are good, 5 instances are in review, and this gives information to the admins on what they need to focus on immediately on those critical ones. And we also provide information about the ADC issues, like how many of those ADC instances are suffering because of wrong, improper SSL config, how many of them have app config deviations, instance config deviations, how many of them are suffering from system resources, which could be high CPU, high memory usage, and then you can drill down into the meaningful next level results and remediate them. The powerful upgrade advisory and the security advisory is also popped up here. So we give you a queue of how many instances are currently impacted by the CVEs that have been found in specific releases. And you can go into the security advisory and help remediate those actions from the recommendations given by the advisory. And those specific upgrade summary on which of the instances are using the older build, so that you can click right on this and upgrade to the latest build from right here. From application security perspective, we have a list of the affected applications and the total violations in terms of WAF and bots separated from those total. It gives you a visual cue across a timeline, so that you get a holistic picture of how your security stance looks like across the applications in the deployment. And the final view, which is of importance, would be the gateway view for those gateway specific deployments of delivering applications or virtual desktop infrastructure. So we tell you how many active gateway users there are, how many of them active users, ICA users there are in this particular timeline, and the number of ICA connections active, and meaningful information about what are those errors that are causing turbulence in the performance of the ICA applications. So this is what is more meaningful for the admins to see, that if multiple applications were getting disturbed by one specific influential factor, this is what it could be. So then they pick that up and then go into specific drill down dashboards and take the relevant measures. And then the number of user logons, like how many successful logons there are into the gateway and how many failed logons there are. And what is the distribution of the gateway users in the geo map. This gives you a spread of how your deployment looks on a map. And you can also go to the gateway dashboard to view more information. So all in all, this is the perfect launchpad and an initial start for all those admins who want to know what exactly is the current state and how I can meaningfully derive on what are those specific things, key takeaways that I can take from here and drill down and help remediate those problems to have the fastest turnaround time in terms of issue resolution possible. So Avinash, that concludes my presentation on these features. I wanted to quickly bring out a poll for the last two features.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Karthik. Take your time.
All right.
Let me know if you need help with the polls.
Yeah, sure. So I'm just selecting one of the polls. So in a few seconds, all of you folks should be seeing a poll for the infrastructure analytics piece that I just articulated last presentation, which is the ability for the admins to customize the relevant metrics and have the flexibility to have the magic wand to themselves to influence the instance score.
Okay, so in the interest of time, we will quickly start with this primer section where I'm going to talk to you about what the event management is. Most of the people, we know that, and then maybe we'll go through a few use cases which I felt will be useful for you. So just a quick gist, what is the event management? As we know, right, we want to represent occurrence of events. So once a ADC is discovered, and what next? So when we talk about the management, next part come as the monitoring. So that's where all these event plays very important role when ADM is added as a trap destination to all those ADCs which is being managed. All the events start to come and float into the ADM. Once these all the alerts are available on the ADM, that's where the event management starts with respect to configuring various rules, sending out the notification based on those rules to selected set of audience who can perform selected set of actions over those events or the notifications which are being thrown for a certain event which has occurred onto that ADC, or a particular feature, whatever it is. So with that, let's talk about what all rules we can, various filters within the rule we can configure. So let's say we have a alert which is already there on the ADM. Now, based on the severity of the alerts, based on from which device it is coming, what category of alert it is, whether it is an event down, or it is a CPU, high CPU, or it is a certain object failure, or there are certain configurations for which you're very worried about and you want to track those configuration commands, be it let's say a configuration command being failed, or being or there are certain messages you want to convey. So you can configure rules based on these different granular levels and send to a selected set of notify selected set of audience, or whatever you mode of channels you require, be it a Slack, be it a pager duty. So those all we will talk about. So what all use cases I have in mind, like I wanted to cover is, first, how you can categorize or look out details for based on the category or event types. This is one of the use case I would be talking within the concentrating on the demonstration. Second, let's say you want to configure a notification rule for a, let's say for a use case, a very specific virtual server, and you want to keep an application owner is there and he wants to keep a very close eye as an application owner onto that particular virtual server. So how a rule can be configured for the whereabout that particular virtual server, various categories around that particular virtual server to get the notification sent to that application owner. Then of course, if you want to perform a certain action based on an event has occurred, let's say if a entity or comes for an entity down, let's say v server is down, what all action you want to perform, maybe immediately configuring a new virtual server and add those services, so you can have a configured job in place to trigger if this event happens. So those kind of use cases we can talk about. And then let's say if you have a maintenance window and you want to really ignore an alert, because of course when an instance goes down, there will be a plethora of different types of events which will be triggered from the device. So you want to, as a device as in whole, you want to schedule a time where you want to, during that event time, you want to suppress the alert or don't want to receive the notifications. Those kind of use cases we will talk about, because these are one of the few common use cases which we see being utilized by people around the event management frequently. So with this, I don't want to take much time here. In the interest of time, let's quickly jump onto the demonstration and see what all is there. So as you see, first I will start with this. You have an option to collapse and expand this pane. With this, you have an option to select whatever are favorites and you work frequently upon. Let's say for today's demonstration, I have selected the events management, so I have highlighted it and started. So I don't have to no longer go to infrastructure and events. I can directly go from the favorites itself. So as soon as I click, it will directly take me to that location. Okay, so what you get onto the event summary page. This is a place where you, as I was talking about the first use case, how you can see the details based on the category or different types of alert. So let's say, for example, you have the entity down category and you want to look all the events which are related to that entity down. Maybe you would have, based upon how you have categorized. Right now, the entity down might be categorized as a major alert, so it is showing under the major. Any particular entity down you want to, if you would have categorized under a critical or a minor, it would have been showing up those numbers there. So let's say if by default it is major, we click on it, it will give me all details of last 1 month, what all ADCs are there and which all failure objects are there. If you want to read more into it, you can expand the window and you can go through it and see the details. Of course, you can select the duration of your choice. And if you want to download it, of course you can download this as well, or export, rather the right word for it. So you have the option here where you can go schedule the reports. And this tab is pretty much, as we all are user of ADM for so long, we know pretty much every feature has this export capability, where you can either export it now, or you can schedule the export based on the time of your choice and the notification of your choice that will be sent across to you, whether it's email or Slack. So with this, let's see what are under the events. First is the report. Report is a global place of all the charts, which can give you a quick glimpse into what is happening across different ADCs which are being discovered, and ADM shows a very good pictorial view of it. As you can see, it's a global place where we are seeing all the reports. It shows even by the category of what are the major and what are the clear type of alerts. And if you click on this number, it will take you to those lists as well, where it shows the details of all the different type of instances and what all different types of major alerts for different categories would have came. Maybe here right now it is showing only the entity down, but it could be other as well, which can show if there are different categories beyond that. Now it also shows you, what are the top 10 instances from which the maximum throw of events or the SNMP traps is being sent. Perhaps that is a very first way to look on if there is a lot of problem happening over a particular ADC instance, and why there are so many events, maybe major or critical, are being sent across. As you see, right, it actually shows you how many are major right now, how many are cleared. You can change the date and the values change, and it might show number of instances more or less based upon the duration you have selected. You go to the ADC instance, ADC dashboard, event dashboard reports. It will show you pretty much more details, like same events by severity, top 10 instances, but along with that it start to show you, let's say if there are top 10 instances where majority of the configuration changes are happening, it will show you in the descending order which is the top talker, or which has the most number of changes. Same goes for the authentication. Some of them you see it's not, there is no data, because right now we are on this demo center, we have not done any authentication failure changes or configuration changes for the ADCs being discovered. So that's why this is not displaying the data. But if you do those changes in your environment, if there are being changes done in the production where you're doing these changes, of course these data will show you with the instance detail which are the instances. Here also it shows, right, which are the top instances where you have a maximum fluctuation or entity states. So it can potentially, being a very good use case where you can see, okay, there are a lot of instance changes happening. Either there is a problem with those servers, or there is a problem within the network itself where the ADC is lying. So these helps you to categorize and shortlist those instances for special care. With this, you have other sections also you want to see for ADC SDX. You can have a look on that as well. I might not talk more about that, because I want to talk most important feature. Because once the alerts are there, how you want to play around with this and how you want to receive those alerts for different audiences who are interested in that. This is the place where you do those. So this is the place where you configure the rules on how the notification and what notification and to whom it should be sent. So let's say you start your journey with clicking on add, give a name for the rule. In case you don't want to start this rule, get started straight ahead, you can just uncheck it and configure the rule and keep it for later use. If you want to get this rule applied straight ahead, click on enable. Give the time, event age. Event age is basically, in a very simple term, let's say you have a virtual server which is going, and as an entity is going down, and but you want that to be down for 60 seconds for you to an event to be, a notification to be triggered. Let's say it just went down and came up. It could be, let's say, one of the monitoring probe failed, and actually there was no problem, and you wanted to ignore these kind of alerts. So you can set the duration. Let's say you want to ignore for a vServer going down for 2 minutes. You can do that. So it could be any entity. I'm just giving an example in a very simple term what the event age means. Then the instance family. Instance family is, of course, you want to select what kind of instance family that for which you want to send that alert or create that alert for. Then you can select the type of alert. Let's say I am let's say we start with the use case. How about that virtual server which I was talking about? So I went to, and I know that it's on an ADC. I know that I have categorized that as a major. Then I go and I select here as entity down, and then here I select that instance from which that vServer belongs to. And then once it is selected, you get the list of all the vServers in that, and you can just select which one you want, that application. And once that is done, all you have to do is select the actions. In the action, now you have option, as I said, right? Either you want to notify a specific person, you select create a group, give, let's say there are 2 3 application owners, give their email ID, you want to keep them CC BCC, you configured those. In case you want to have a very catchy subject line just for that application name, put that subject line, have a message which need to be conveyed in that email notification, give that message, so that as soon as that entity down, the message goes in that format. Now, what about notification to a very specific virtual server we covered, but as I was talking about, right, there were couple of things we wanted to talk, like how to perform an action. So let's say there is a vServer which is going down due to certain schedule maintenance or whatever reason it is, and you are monitoring it, and it comes as an entity down. As soon as that vServer goes down, or that it could be anything, ADC going down for a maintenance, and you want to switch over to a different ADC, all or there is a certain specific configuration for that vServer which is disabled, and you want to apply a new one. What you can do, you can select option. So you have an option here to either run a command action where you can run the command, create a script and add that command what you would perform, or the easiest way is to execute a job action. Here it takes you to the config create job, where you can create the job and give the setup. Let's say I want to create a new virtual server under a content switching vServer if the current target vServer goes down. So as soon as it goes down, it will trigger a create job, and it will create a new vServer and bind it based on kind of job you have created with all the command sets. So this is how you can, one of the use cases where you can be very useful when we are performing certain maintenance activities, or you want to perform certain high uptime for a particular application. Now, another thing I was talking about is this is how about stopping the notification. So in the same use case line, let's say rather than doing an activity for a virtual server, it could be an activity as granular as having been action performed on an vServer or an instance altogether. All you have to do is select the suppress action, give the time in minute. Let's say maintenance activity is for 60 minutes, give that 60-minute time window. But how about scheduling it? That's where this other button comes up. Once you have that rule created for that particular instance, let's say this is the instance where I talk about that entity being down. Now I want to schedule it. All I have to do is go here, schedule. I can select that and enable that rule. So what will happen at that time when the event your issue your activity is there for that instance? At that time, this alerts, anything coming for this rule will be suppressed or will not be sent to that particular owner, or even it will not show in your ADM event monitoring and management dashboard. If let's say you have a very general dashboard or general rule which covers to send those notification, and wanted to avoid those false positive alerts being come during the maintenance. So this is pretty much quick about the rules. Under the event settings, as I was talking about, right, you can actually configure based upon whatever category of alerts is. If you want to change its severity, you can very well change it. Let's say, for example, I was talking about entity. Okay, so let's say I want to change the entity and I want to edit this. All I have to do is select this, configure severity, and I can change it from major to critical. The moment I do this, if you see here, now it has become critical. Now any alert which will for the entity down will come as critical. Now I'm again reverting it back, and it will again change to major. So based upon that, whatever category you want to customize it and you want to keep it. Some alerts, let's say you don't want, you want to completely receive it, you can just mark it as clear, and even the event notification will come for it, it will mark it as clear immediately in the clear notification. So it's completely configurable. Same goes for ADC, SGX, and different other ADC types. Last section which I want to quickly touch base is the syslog messages. In our case, as we don't have the syslog destination configured for ADCs being the ADM service, so we don't have anything. But if you are using ADM service as the syslog destination, you have all the ADC syslog being captured here, and you can very well have a GUI based view, and you can filter it out and have a look onto those events on the ADM service itself. So with this, I will just conclude my event dashboard walkthrough. Okay, thank you everyone. See you into the next webinar. As I had said, the registration links for the Feb months onwards for 22 to 22 year has been changed. Please, it's available in the chat. Please copy it, keep it safe, and get registered there and delete these current occurrences, because next month we will be meeting on to the new registration links. So with that, have a good day and see you in the Feb month webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.